If you're searching for true power, you might be looking in all the obvious places, parliaments, palaces, or the front pages of newspapers, but the reality is, genuine power rarely stands in the spotlight. It prefers the shadows, operating quietly, almost invisibly behind the scenes, because, real power doesn't campaign for your attention. It doesn't need to trend on social media or shout from podiums. The faces you see on billboards and the names you hear in debates, those are often just the surface, the visible actors in a much deeper play, and it definitely doesn't explain itself. It doesn't issue press releases or justify its moves. Instead, it prefers closed doors, whispered conversations, and decisions made far from the public eye. Real power sits quietly, watching as presidents come and go, as empires rise and fall, and as wars are waged and funded, often without the world ever knowing who truly pulled the strings. For over 2 centuries, 2 family names have appeared again and again in the background of global history, not on ballots, not on thrones, but on contracts, in ledgers, and in the fine print of the world's most important deals. The Rothschilds. The Rockefellers. Their influence is woven into the very fabric of modern civilization. One family mastered the art of money itself, how it moves, how it multiplies, and how it can quietly shape the fate of nations from behind the scenes. The other mastered what money could build: railroads, oil empires, and the very infrastructure that powers the modern world. Their fingerprints are on the foundations of industry, energy, and commerce. This isn't the stuff of wild conspiracy theories or whispered rumors. It's a documented reality, studied by historians and economists, and written into the archives of our shared past. What's truly unsettling is this: while nations have risen and fallen, while borders have shifted and governments have changed, certain families have learned not just to survive, but to outlast entire eras. This is the story of how power endures, quietly, persistently, and often unnoticed. The Rothschild story doesn't begin in a palace surrounded by gold and grandeur, as many might imagine. Instead, it starts in a place far removed from the halls of power, a world defined by narrow streets, modest homes, and the daily struggle for survival. It begins in the heart of the 18th century Frankfurt ghetto, a tightly packed neighborhood where opportunity was scarce and prejudice was common. Here, families lived side by side, forging strong bonds in the face of adversity, and dreaming of a better future. In this unlikely setting, one man, Mayer Amschel Rothschild, saw what others could not. While kings and generals obsessed over armies and territory, Mayer understood a deeper truth. Wars aren't won by bravery alone. They're won by liquidity, by the ability to move money swiftly, to fund armies, and to seize opportunity when others hesitate. Mayer didn't seek land or royal titles. He didn't chase after crowns or castles. Instead, he built something more powerful: credit. He became a master of trust, turning relationships and reputation into a new kind of wealth, one that could cross borders and outlast empires. With vision and determination, Mayer sent his 5 sons out into the world: London, Paris, Vienna, Naples, and Frankfurt, each one tasked with planting the family's financial roots in a different European capital. Together, they formed a network that would soon span the continent. What they created was nothing short of revolutionary: a private international banking network, faster and more agile than the governments and monarchies of their day. They could move information and money across borders in days, not weeks, changing the very nature of finance. The Rothschilds didn't wait for history to unfold. They anticipated it, shaped it, and, most importantly, priced it, forever changing the world of money and power. Now jump to 19th century America. No kings, no aristocracy, no patience. Enter John D. Rockefeller. Rockefeller didn't invent oil. He didn't discover it. He controlled it. Standard Oil didn't compete fairly. It crushed competitors through scale, transportation chokeholds, and price manipulation. By the late 1800s, roughly 90% of U.S. oil refining, control over rail transport, pricing power across the entire industry. This wasn't just business. This was systematic domination. Here's the key difference. Rothschild power equals leverage you never see. The Rothschilds didn't own factories. They owned obligations. They financed governments, wars, infrastructure, national debt. Kings fell, Borders changed, the debt survived. They weren't loyal to flags, they were loyal to stability. And stability always pays interest. So, Rockefeller power equals the systems you live inside. The Rockefellers didn't just accumulate money, they built energy grids, transportation networks, universities, medical institutions, foundations, and policy pipelines. Even after Standard Oil was broken up in 1911, Rockefeller power didn't disappear, it diffused. If Rothschild power is invisible strings, Rockefeller power is the stage itself. Let's address the whispers. The Rothschilds are often accused of controlling all central banks, every war, and global politics. None of that is literally true. But here's the uncomfortable reality. When a family helps invent modern international finance, their influence becomes structural. People sense it, but they just can't trace it. That's how myths are born. The Rockefellers face a different perception. They're remembered as philanthropists, builders of medicine, and champions of education. And yes, billions were donated, but philanthropy isn't neutral. When you fund research, you decide which questions get asked. When you fund institutions, you shape society, quietly. Wars don't run on patriotism, they run on credit. The Rothschilds financed Britain during the Napoleonic Wars, European military logistics, and post-war reconstruction. They didn't cheer for victories, they ensured continuity. Governments collapsed, but finance endured. The 20th century wasn't ruled by gold, it was ruled by oil. Tanks, planes, factories, modern warfare ran on energy, and energy ran through Rockefeller pipelines. If money moves armies, oil decides whether they move at all. No throne, no headlines, just private banking, wealth management, government advisory roles. Their modern strength isn't scale, it's, discretion. They don't dominate, they advise. Rockefeller wealth flows through trusts, foundations, climate initiatives, global policy organizations. The same family built on oil now funds renewable energy. That's not hypocrisy. That's adaptation. Power that doesn't evolve dies. Here's the truth people avoid. The Rothschilds didn't rule the world. They shaped how money moves through it. The Rockefellers didn't own the world. They shaped how society operates within it. One family mastered the rules. The other mastered the infrastructure. Different strategies. Same outcome. Longevity. This story isn't just about families, or even about the names you've heard whispered through history books and documentaries. It's about the invisible architecture of power, how it's built, how it endures, and how it shapes the world around us in ways we rarely notice. Power doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It doesn't need to. It doesn't scream or go viral or ask for permission. Instead, it moves quietly, threading itself through the systems we use every day. Our banks, our governments, our industries, until it becomes the air we breathe. It builds systems, railroads, oil empires, telegraph lines, and financial networks, then waits patiently as the world grows dependent on them. Over time, these systems become so essential that we can't imagine life without them. That's when power becomes truly unshakable. The Rothschilds and Rockefellers weren't cartoon villains plotting world domination, nor were they flawless heroes. They were simply early visionaries who saw the future before anyone else did and built the foundations others would walk on for generations. In the grand sweep of history, being early, spotting the opportunity before the crowd, often matters more than being right. Timing, not just talent, is what cements a legacy. If this video made you uncomfortable, that's a good thing. Discomfort is a sign that you're seeing the world with new eyes, questioning the stories you've been told, and noticing the forces that usually go unseen. That means you're paying attention. If you found yourself pausing, thinking, or even doubting, hit like. It means you're not just consuming information, but actually engaging with it. Comment below, which family's story unsettled you more, and why? Was it the calculated moves of the Rothschilds, or the relentless ambition of the Rockefellers? Or maybe it was something else entirely. Subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden mechanics of power, because the most influential forces in our lives are often the ones hiding in plain sight, shaping our choices without us even realizing. Remember, the most dangerous thing about real power isn't its secrecy or its ruthlessness, it's how ordinary, how normal it feels once you're living inside it, until you start to question who built the walls around you, and why. So keep questioning, keep noticing, and never forget, the systems we take for granted today were once someone's bold idea, and tomorrow they'll shape the world for those who come after us.